success through school library partnerships. And we have 3 great speakers today. So I don't want to take too much time to talk myself, so I'm going to get them going. I just want to tell you a little bit about how this works. We are using Zoom, and this is the first time we've used Zoom, so you may have to live through a couple of glitches with us this morning, but I think we'll do pretty well, or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Everyone, I think, is pretty quiet, so I don't think we have to worry about muting and background noise, but you can mute and unmute yourself if you would like, and that's usually if you hover over your picture, you will see that, or your video, you will see that. I can also mute people, so if I decide that needs to happen, I will do that. The first 30 minutes or so of the webinar is going to be the presentations by Shanna, Audrey, and Erica, and then we want to have a good discussion about the topic. So we're going to open it up for conversation, and you can either do it by chat, and there is a chat box, and I'll just show you where that is in a second, and then, or you can do it by audio, whichever way works, and we'll just play it by ear and see how that goes. But we'd really like to have a conversation, not just have this people talking at you. The webinar is being recorded, and we will make that available to you and to YALSA members within 24 hours of the session. I'll also make sure that everyone gets the PowerPoint slides as well. The chat, if you haven't noticed it, if you go up to the top of your screen, you should be able to click on chat if it's not open. And also, if you're not seeing chat, you can click on more. And during the presentations, feel free to chat inside the chat box while we're trying to be quiet with the presenters. So feel free to type in and have conversation there. I found that that's really helpful. Also, just so you know, you may see me looking down at my screen. I'm actually going to try and tweet during this, so it's not that I'm not paying attention, it's just that I'm trying to also give others who aren't here today the chance to know some of the great stuff you're learning. So with that, I'm going to press play, turn my remote control over to Shanna, and I'm going to let Shanna introduce herself. And each of the speakers is going to speak for about 10 minutes. So, Shanna, I'm about to give you the control, I hope. Where'd it go? Ooh, I hear beeping. And then where'd you go? There you are. Okay, it's yours.
Oh, hi. Sorry, my bell is ringing.
Oh, is that you?
That's not me. It's the tardy bell.
Okay.
Because I guess that's the greatest way to introduce me, because I am a school librarian. I'm a high school librarian at South Atlanta High School. I have a BA in journalism from the University of South Carolina. And
timing is everything. That's awesome.
2 o'clock is right when the bell rings. I have a Master of Library Media from Georgia State University. I am currently the media specialist at South Atlanta High School, and I am currently a member of the Georgia Peach Book Award for Teen Readers Committee. I would encourage you, and I hope that you guys would all follow me at SR Miles Author. That's my Twitter, and I'm there a lot, tweeting on a regular basis. So I'm glad to see everyone there. I'll try to make sure that I'm looking at the chat box while I go through things. So what we'll cover today, I'm going to focus on career services, because as a school librarian, I see that there's a lot of emphasis put on college readiness, but not necessarily career readiness. And we have a lot of our students who, for one reason or another, cannot go to college, need to get out into the workforce, or just plain don't want to go to college. So they need to have resources to access full citizenship, a full and wonderful life. So we want to make sure that we are serving those students and serving those constituents at your school library and your public library. So we will identify the need, talk about combining resources, and then matching skills with the services, as well as building community. So identifying the need. If 50% of low-income graduates are enrolled in college, that means that half need to find a job. So what are we doing to kind of work with the half of the population? That's a big number. We need to make sure that we're offering services to them. So like I said, the reasons for opting out are varied. So they could be, they just didn't do well in high school. Maybe high school wasn't set up for them. We have a lot of creative kids who just can't sit still for 8 hours. So high school or college is just not really, the best place for them. And some are just, I don't know what I want to do. I have an unclear idea of what I want to do, what my future goals are. So we want to kind of help those kids, help those students find a way to access their full lives. So the first thing I'm suggesting is that you talk to your patrons, talk to your students about what they see as their next step, not what we see as what we think their next step should be. So the easiest thing to do is to create a survey in Google Forms. That's free. You can use it. I also suggest turning that link that you get for Google Forms into a QR code, and you can post that around your library. You can pull it up if you have access to iPads and things like that. You can kind of, every time someone comes to check out a book, you can have them do the quick short survey. And I would make the survey short just so it's easy to get as many kids to answer those questions as possible. And I have a couple of questions that I've come up with for you. So did you graduate in 4 years? Will you attend college? Are you interested in job skills training? And how much money do you want to make once you graduate? I think we got somebody coming in. Share the data with your local public school library branch, and that will kind of be a easy way to kind of come together for ideas that meet the same goals. I think someone needs to mute your
mute.
Great, thank you. Matching skills with services. So I'm kind of just giving you guys an idea of the skills and services that the high school librarian library might have, as opposed to the public school library might have. And you kind of see where those things kind of overlap. Oh, what happened? Did I do that?
No, I think I did that.
Okay.
Here, hold on. There.
Okay, great.
Go.
Great. All right. So high school graduate and they're high income minded. So this is my patron, my patron that I'm trying to serve. So they want to make a lot of money. They graduated from high school, but they don't want to go to college. So what can we do? There are lots of things that you can do. We can work with them on interview skills. We can work with them on certification awareness, court reporting, becoming a realtor. You can be a 6-figure-a-year realtor, and it does not require any college at all. You may not know that if you are a student, and you may need to let them know what that is. How do they get into it? What kind of certificates are available to them? All of that. If they're good with people, they're good with, have the gift of gab, they can be a great salesperson and make a lot of money. Interest identification. That's what you just kind of offering, Myers-Briggs testing, those kinds of tests that allow them to figure out, well, what would be the kinds of jobs that I'm interested in, if you have no idea. A lot of our kids are sheltered, especially if they're in rural communities, or if they're in spaces where they don't have a lot of access to museums, or if they're not in a big city, or they don't have public transportation, or they don't have a car. They only know what they see on television and what they see in their own families. So we kind of have to be there to let them know what is available. Low school performance with the need for immediate income. So this is another kind of student. They would need GED preparation resources. ASVAB study tools. If you don't know what the ASVAB is, that is the test that you take to be able to get into the military. A lot of our kids, that the military is a crucial and a viable step into self-sufficiency. So having them get really good at skills with or test prep materials that focus on the ASVAB is something that you may want to do to focus on. Soft skills workshops. These are great, and you can offer these yourself, and I think you get a lot of traction from them, and anyone can do them. Create a resume. The importance of first impressions. That's like when you work on shaking a hand, how to introduce yourself. Writing a thank you note. A lot of kids, they deal with
Oh, sorry. That's me. Go ahead.
they deal with social media and tweeting and email, but they don't know how to write a thank you note. And some of them don't even know how to write an email, which what comes into sending business emails. You'd be surprised. Also, starting your own business. A lot of kids, may be working with their family or working with their hands, and they may have an opportunity to really expand on that. And it'd be great if they could find those resources at the school or public library. So combining your resources. So the public library has access to various paid databases. Those can be very useful for our kids who are at the school library. The public library, I've found, have great resources or have an opportunity to deal with a lot of community leaders, people who have different skills that as a school librarian, I don't know them. Like I may not know someone who has a graphic design business who may be, willing to come and talk to the kids. I don't know those people. But those of you who are at public libraries may. The public library also has extended hours, which is fantastic because I don't have the ability to be open until 7 or 8 at night, but the public library may be able to do that. And there may be opportunities to have some of these workshops to offer to not just the students and their patrons, but their parents, their cousins, whoever. I can't offer that, but the public library can. School library. We have a captive audience of teens. We always want to reach out to young adult librarians because I know you guys try to get a lot of kids to come out to your programs and that sort of thing when it's a lot easier for us to do because they have to be here. So there's a way for us to kind of make sure that we're at the very least sharing what's going on at the public library so that our target audience knows of the great resources that are at the public library. We also have counselors, coaches, and other teaching partners, which are great for offering expertise in a lot of different areas as well. And we also have existing relationships and personal knowledge of your target audience at the school library. We see the kids every day. So we may know of certain kids who are interested in certain things and be able to shuttle them to the public library for specific workshops and things that are going on. These are just a couple of things that are about going on. The public library, Atlanta Fulton County Public Library, was actually here yesterday doing a library card drive, and those are easy if you're going to reach out to your public library about. It's September. It's library card. The library card month, is that what we're calling it? But it's library card month. It'll come out if you ask them. I guarantee it. Also, last year I did a workshop called Launchpad, where I had people from the community come in and speak to the students about life skills. So we had Planned Parenthood come out. We had consumer credit counseling come and teach the kids about credit and what credit is, what to do with your first credit card, how not to get taken in with predatory lending and that sort of thing. We also just had like fun workshops on if you're thinking about going natural, or if you're thinking about becoming a vegetarian, fun stuff like that too, which can be a way for you to kind of bridge gaps with workshops for those kinds of kids. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is building community. And here are a couple of ideas that you guys can do with your public library. So resume boot camps. You can offer one at the school, and then if they miss that, you can make sure that there's one offered at the public library that they can access as well. It's a great way for them to get other teams that they know or their parents or whoever to come, and you have more patrons to interact with there as well. Cross-posting. The easiest thing is just to pick up flyers and posters from the public library, their calendar, and make sure you're offering them at your school library and vice versa. So you're both sharing the same target audience, so go ahead and share information for them. Program outreach and sign-up drives. That is like the library card sign up. You can do those if you ask. And that's the thing about it. Just pick up and ask. Ask the football or basketball or football game, homecoming. They may want to have a table. Or you can help them out and just have a table for them to sign up for public library cards at the homecoming game, just as a way to share resources. And then there's coordinated themed workshops like how to build a website. I'm doing that. So the public library may want to do one that's coordinated with that, with like the elements of marketing. Maybe they know a marketing professional, or maybe there's a PR person at the public library that would be willing to offer their time to those kids. Understanding social media, that can be useful for both the school and for the public library. You can do dual offerings as well, one during the day during school and one after school. And then typing classes. I know in Georgia it's not required that you learn how to type, but that is a useful skill. And offering them typing classes at the school and the public library are a way for us to share resources and share shared goals. Recent graduate check-in, you could do that during the summer. Like you have kids who already graduated. If you just want to like make yourself available for the school librarians, just kind of go to the public library and say, hey, if you guys want to come out and you're having some questions about different things that are going on as a resource, you can do that. Alumni book clubs also, as well as alumni speakers. You have them speak at the school or at the public library. Usually we're not too far from the public library, so being able to share our dual spaces is something that I think is phenomenal. Same thing with community colleges and FAFSA, which is the free application for student aid. If you graduate and you haven't decided to go to college and maybe you think about it later, there's no one to help you. You can't come back to the school and there's nowhere for you to really go to kind of figure out the ins and outs. But as a school librarian or as a public librarian, a teen librarian, you can kind of join forces and offer that information at the public library for those students who kind of lost their free pass to all the school resources. But you're a resource, so reach out and make sure that you're being part of the community, and builds up the community, and you guys get to expand all of the offerings by working together. So I think we're gonna hold like our questions to the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give up my remote control. Thanks for listening to me. And Linda's on.
Yeah, we have some questions which are great. And I'm just actually, I think the easiest way for me to get this control back and to give it to Audrey, who's next, is to do what I just did. So
I think I have it, right?
yes, now you have it.
Okay, great. All right, well, hi everyone. My name is Audrey Hopkins. I am the Teen Services Librarian for the Rita and Truett Smith Public Library, which is a public library located in Wiley, Texas, which is just north of the mighty Metroplex. I've been working there for 2 years, and prior to that, I spent 3 years with the Plano Public Library System. So if you hear me talking about interchangeably Plano and Wiley, that's why. I have a background in art history and a master's of library and information sciences from the Texas Women's University. This is my third and last year to be on the Texas Lone Star list, which is a selection committee for recommended reading for 6th through 8th graders. I'll be talking about that a bit today too, as well as a reviewer for Voya Magazine, Voice of Youth Advocates, and as well as a member of the YALSA blog editorial advisory board. I have a blog where I write about books that I've read or wish I didn't read at oddviral.wordpress.com, so check that out. And I love Twitter, so follow me at Twitter. A plate is a plate. And one moment. There we go. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is identifying your shared mission and vision, combining resources and creating partnerships, as well as some ideas for collaboration. So I hope to cover some theory as well as practice. Okay, so when you're identifying shared vision and mission, what are the needs of your direct community? I find that when I'm designing activities and services with the goal of improving teen lives, it's important for me to identify with my potential collaborators what that shared vision, mission, or goal is, as well as what are the direct needs of the community, which are going to be very diverse and in return provide lots of opportunities for connected learning, which is a culmination of academic, peer culture, and personal interest. And I find when you have these three things involved, that's the best way for you to get teens involved in your programming. So here are just some common goals and things you might have in common with potential partners. STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And also I like the term STEAM and incorporating arts to make the STEM more inclusive. Makerspace, maybe you have a makerspace, maybe your library has a makerspace, all your different forms of literacy. Career readiness, research models, cultural competency, and global citizenry, and as well as fine arts. Okay, so things to consider when you're approaching prospective partners. Let's see, I feel a large percentage of our job is just communication and basic soft and interpersonal skills. And I find I'm hitting the pavement a lot, making the different schools aware of what services I have to offer. As we all know, libraries and our services are far more expansive than just a house for books and that traditional idea of literacy, but community centers that offer gateways to technology, humanities, and those different forms of literacy, which YALSA defines as the construction of meaning, and I love that. So digital literacy, emotional literacy, cultural, visual, gaming as literacy, it's never ending. And we're surpassing those traditional services that libraries are known for by leaps and bounds. And there's lots of partners that can mutually benefit each other. I find it so important for us to sell ourselves and our services and to provide that visibility to our potential partners who might not realize how much the library as an institution has evolved. So here are some things to consider when you're about to approach some prospective partners. First, do your research and observe and find out what it is that they're emphasizing. And I say pick one goal, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. So find one goal and don't try to reinvent anything. Instead, try to enrich and add what's already going on. Because I work at a public library, but I know with school libraries, there's already a set agenda. So you know, what do you have to offer and what can you add and how can you insert yourself into what's already going on at that school? And I also would recommend that you choose one campus to work with and then grow with them. Also training schedules and opportunities such as in service days. Can you hop on board? Can you come visit? Can you meet all those other librarians and different, you know, members of the school? And then final, and this isn't always, you know, this can be hard, but it works out so well when you can find someone who thinks a lot like you, and then you can work together. Okay, and now here are some ideas for collaboration. So say your goal is literacy, contact your school libraries and library outreach coordinators. For STEM needs, contact your gifted and talented programs, school science, STEM institutes. We have a lot of those in Plano, Texas. Local universities and educational service centers. For cultural competency and global citizenry, try your multicultural clubs and foreign language programs. Fine arts, I'd hit up your school theater and visual arts departments and even magnet schools. And for career readiness, contact local businesses that hire teens and volunteer organizations for teens and vocational schools. And then, of course, your most valuable resource is going to be your patrons. When you're seeking out those partnerships and collaboration opportunities, ask your teen library council and your teen library patrons, what organizations are they involved in at school, as well as their extracurricular activities. When creating relevant and authentic programming for teens, I find that the best practice is to have your initiatives teen-led, made for and by teens. They're going to be the best representation of the needs of your community, and they're going to take more stock in the initiative based on their involvement. Your patrons are your best advocates for services, and they can really help you make those valuable connections. All right, and now here's some kind of examples of the things I've been talking about. So school partnership. As a public services librarian, when I think of potential collaborators, my first thought is going to be my local school librarians. Not only do we share the same goals and focus, but we also have similar obstacles. In front of you is a picture of Murphy Middle School. This is the Student Lone Star Committee, which is a student version of the organization that I'm on, or the committee group that I'm on. And there's Miss Penny Pearson to the left, who's the librarian at Murphy Middle School, and to the right is Miss Laura Mullins, who's the head of English. Let's see. Let me show you some more pictures. So here is our Student Texas Lone Star Committee, and just a little bit of background. The Texas Lone Star list is 20 recommended reads for 6th through 8th graders in the state of Texas, and it's highly publicized throughout the public schools and libraries. The idea being that any 6th through 8th grader will be able to find a book on this list and they'll enjoy it. And here's some of the objectives for the committees. For the list to be reflective of the intended audience's interests and challenges, as well as diverse and culturally accurate. So last summer, I was at Murphy Middle School kind of selling our summer programming, and Ms. Penny Pearson asked me about the vetting process for the Texas Lone Star list. So I kind of told her about it, and like the idea of the best initiatives are made for and by teens, like 6th and 8th graders are going to tell me, you know, does this have meaning in their life? Does it speak to them? And I want to find out what books are good for 6th through 8th graders from 6th through 8th graders. So we started a completely volunteer, volunteer group. Let's see. It consisted of 45 volunteer students who read a total of 417 books, and that was an average of 9 books per volunteer. As far as the demographics, we had students that read above, below, and at grade level, ranging from students on the autism spectrum all the way to students that were taking college courses. There were 15 different ethnic backgrounds represented. We had 2 face-to-face meetings, which was 6 hours total, and we cross-blogged on the library's blog, the school library, as well as the public library blog. And if you want to check that out, it's splteenmachine.com, and just click on Murphy Middle School to the subject cloud on the right, and you can see some of the posts that the kids did. 62% said that they read more for the committee, and 73% read a larger variety, which meant that they were choosing to read nonfiction and historical fiction, which was huge. This is one of my favorite quotes from a girl named Nitya, and she's commenting on Sweet by Emmy Leyburn. She said, I would totally give this book 11 out of 10 stars. If it doesn't make the Lone Star list, I'm probably going to rethink my whole life. If you don't think I went through enough detail with this review, feel free to ask questions. Thankfully, it did make the list, so Nitya was very happy. And we also had a 5-star review system. So they also had a criteria to follow as well. And I feel like this is a great example of starting a program at just one campus, and not only growing with the program, the campus, and just also that initiative, because now we have 2 student Lone Star groups, and over 80 kids at Murphy Middle School are signed up to participate this year. And then here are some more pictures from the Murphy Middle School Student Lone Star list deliberating. And then there's a really silly picture of me and my friend Diana at a steampunk convention that we had at the Armstrong Middle School, which Miss Melissa Bowman, who's the Armstrong Middle School librarian, let us join her in her after-school book club that met monthly. My friend Diana and I would go monthly book talk and kind of push the steampunk genre. And as a reward, at the end of the semester, we had a steampunk convention with like a photo booth and fun crafts. And it was just tons of fun, and it was just a really easy program, and I was so thankful that Mrs. Bowman let me hop in. So,
Audrey, I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
Okay, excellent. Okay, cool. And then here's a collaboration with UTD, and this is a perfect example of the train the trainer paradigm, where Dr. Kim Knight came and trained a whole bunch of library personnel on programming microcontroller computers. And then we were able to have a really huge program with 30 kids that it's called e-textiles, and would sew these into their clothing. So that was a really cool initiative that we did with UT Dallas. And then you can also meet your local authors. Barnes & Noble and several local authors came and did a Banned Books Week book talk panel discussion with us. And now this year, Julie Murphy is going to be going to the school as well as the public library. So we're still working together, and we made that really valuable connection. And then the last, kind of what Shana talked about, teen job fairs, finding those local organizations that share that same goal of promoting community growth, literacy, and education. So we got a whole bunch of vendors, Barnes & Noble, Old Navy, Market Street, as well as city departments such as Human Resources, to come and vendors looking for talent. We had mock interviews, what not to wear, resume assistance, and it was 235 kids that ended up coming, which was an incredibly successful program. So I hope that helps. Those are some ideas to kind of put those theories into practice.
Great. Thank you, Audrey. And I'm going to just do this again because I'm not sure how else. And I think this is a great segue into Erica. So Erica, I will give you the control in 1 second. Come on, here we can go. And where are you? There you are. And are you set?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I feel like the outlier in some ways here, but my heart is near and dear to the library system, and I was with the State Library of Idaho, called the Idaho Commission for Libraries, for 6 years. But now I'm in a totally new role with the STEM Action Center, which is located in the Office of the Governor, a new state agency focusing on K through career STEM education, workforce development, benefiting Idaho's economy. So kind of coming from a little bit different place, I suppose, but very excited to be back in the library world. I'm trying to get it to, there we go. So you've heard a lot about partnerships and things, and so we'll be talking a little bit about the importance of strong partnerships. And another piece is kind of very intentionally designing and implementing projects for success. Meeting the needs of rural communities and encouraging broad participation. Those are all areas I hope will flow through today as we get going. So I'm here because we created kind of a neat project. Actually, we're about to launch a project in the next couple months that evolved through some kind of serendipitous relationships and meetings. And interesting, Barnes & Noble that Audrey just mentioned being a part of one of her projects. They are really reinventing themselves and getting very into the maker movement and that focus. And of course, the Commission for Libraries, my old employer, still very involved with them, and seeing how the STEM Action Center can, as a statewide entity with some good funding behind it, pull key partners together to try new things to make a difference with broad groups in general. So we kind of had a series of discussions, which again is critical, kind of multiple times to meet and really find out what is the passion for each partner. What are their strengths? What can you leverage? Like with Barnes & Noble, their buying power, and then this new maker focus. Obviously, the Commission has a great network of libraries, trusted, and then again, the STEM Action Center, kind of that hub, we hope, and funding, which you can't underestimate the importance of that. So during the discussions, we really tried to work through all of the pieces. So why is this an important thing? And in our case, so we were looking at building or pulling together these people to create a community maker kit that would be put into libraries, housed there, but used for outreach into the community through a variety of ways. So we wanted to, the idea had been kind of tumbling around for quite a while. At the Commission, we actually tried a project through the Make It to the Library project, where the third-year libraries took a maker kit into the community, and we got some pretty good feedback, and it looked like a really promising project. And so we were hoping this partnership would allow us to expand that idea and reach libraries, in particular the rural libraries, who were very overwhelmed by the scope of the Make It to the Library project over the last 4 or 5 years. It was just too much of a commitment for them. Too many hours, too many days, too much for them to realistically kind of take on. So again, we wanted to kind of pull back and say, how could we create something that would meet those needs and we were very intentional in thinking about, why is this important? Who are we going to be working with? How do we achieve the goals that we have? What are the tools that will help us kind of succeed? So intentionally thinking through all of those steps was kind of an important piece. And we can talk about the tools, but that's a key thing. How do you make sure that you're getting a tool that allows for expandability with a lot of different age ranges and skill levels, that's sustainable, so the cost isn't prohibitive as they are trying to go forward and work with more and more kids. So the model that we have come up with, and again, we're just about to implement this, so it's not a done deal, is that we'll have these the kits, but an important component is always that training. So the training workshops are going to focus on the maker philosophy and facilitating informal learning, design thinking, kind of that foundational information, as well as the technical skills for the tools that are in the kit. And again, that rural focus was very important, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. The training also, we try to build in plenty of time. We will try to build in plenty of time for some networking, because we're going to be bringing public school and academic libraries together. And so the more we can foster kind of that networking and having them see each other as resources is going to be key. And we've seen that over the last 4 or 5 years with the Make It a Library project, that building that community has been key. The kits have to have tools that expand for ages and levels. Again, super important. If you've got one kit and you're trying to use it in a lot of different areas, then you need to have it be really flexible and pretty durable. And one piece that we are doing, the STEM Action Center is going to pay for the development of very, again, intentional alignment with the standards and GSS or Common Core, and creating some extension activities. School formal educators are just overwhelmed, busy trying to accomplish what they have to do every day just to meet the needs, and all of, tick off the list, everything that they have to do. So the more we can make this turnkey and say, this project fulfills this existing goal that you already have, we're just going to have you do it in a different way, is just really powerful. So I've been watching the chat and we can talk about it later, but I think the more we can be friendly to those teachers who are so overwhelmed and provide them with meaningful content in a fun and engaging way, I think it's a win-win. So ongoing support, I know we're kind of moving on time, so I'll try to, but we try to build in, and this is again kind of historical from the Make It to the Library project, these lessons that we've learned, we're bringing forward frequent check-ins, how's things going, what's working, what's not, and actually on that reflect and improve, I can't overemphasize that enough. In the first year of the Make It to the Library project, about 4 months in, we realized that we'd made a mistake. We were talking about go out and build a maker space in your library. That was overwhelming. So we threw that idea out. We threw the word space out, and it absolutely was liberating. We said, go build makers, go make, right? Build the makers, the space will come. So don't be afraid to ever, as you're reflecting, throw it out if it isn't working and move on. And make sure you're talking to all of the partners, because everybody has pieces that may or may not be working, and we need to be mindful of that. So this is Idaho, and you'll see a lot of mountains there, and you'll see a lot of space in the middle of that has absolutely very, very, very few little towns. That's the Frank Church Wilderness. So we have a very regional state. And frankly, through the Make It to the Library project, we have already kind of saturated with those. Most of the large or district libraries have already participated, are actively participating. So if we want to expand and our impact and increase the kids that we're reaching, we've got to take a different, kind of a different tack. As I mentioned, the training, in the past, how we've kind of tried to implement this was everybody came to one central location. And so that's a fundamental change. We're going to regionalize trainings. We're going to put the trainings out into those communities. We're hoping to do 3, maybe 4. And we're going to center them in, where they're really needed, so that we have decreased travel times, decreased out of library time. And we're going to be providing the support to them through travel stipends where needed to make sure they can get to us. Again, building in that sustainability through tools and providing everything you can into the kit is key. It has to be something that they don't see as an ongoing burden. So any way you can kind of address that. And then again, encouraging those unique partnerships. We're adding academic and school libraries to the project, and we're hoping to see broaden impact and encourage, kind of new collaborations. You might see a student working with the Maker Kit in a different environment. They may be introduced to it through their school, but then they find it at the public library or the after-school club. They become the expert. They're working. So this, I call it cross-pollination. Encouraging that. That networking and resource sharing, that a lot of the chat has been about this and I think it's super important. So everybody asks for money. So I do put this in because I think it's important. So this is going to be, a $75,000 to $80,000 project. And that's huge. I get it. But what I'd like you to focus on is our estimated impact is 4,000 to 5,000 kids. And I think that's low. That's $16 to $21 a kid. That's nothing, right? So this could be scaled down. We're trying to do a statewide, big project, but you could do 5 libraries and you could see a much different cost. So I just think it's important to, numbers can be big. We're incredibly lucky. The STEM Action Center this year has $4 million in funding from the legislature to put into STEM initiatives, again, K through career. And we actually have an outside funder who is really excited about this and is looking to put $50,000 towards this particular project. But think about that cost per student, and I think it's a valuable way to look at everything. This is what's in the kit. I can not go into that. Or we happen to choose Edison robots, again, based on some past experience. And then if you have any questions, I'm always available. My contact's there. And here's a few resources as well.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you. I'm just going to go to the last slide, and I'm going to keep it like this because I think then we can all participate more easily. Thank you, Erica, Audrey, and Shanna, to go backwards. That was like, my brain is a little bit explodey, which happens sometimes, and also great conversation. So thank you for all the chatters and everybody here. So the idea now is to take about the next 15 minutes to just have open conversation about this. There were lots of questions there. And we can, like I said when we started, is if you would like to unmute yourself, you can feel free to do that and speak your question. Also, we can have the chat, but I'll just open it up because basically I think this is what happens whenever I'm a part of a conversation about school library partnership, is that there's that competition, there's that concern about, how the relationship is built. And I think all of you talked about that. And one of the reasons we tried to frame this webinar this way is that to move past that. Some of you know Mary Kay Chilton, and I once heard her say something like, this has been going on since the BC age, right? So since BC, and we're still talking about this. So what do we need to do? So thinking about how do we do this within the context of helping youth succeed in life, and that's Shanna with the college career readiness, that's Audrey with the variety of projects focused on STEM and reading and literacy, and then Erica with the Maker Kits. So I'm going to put each of you, Shanna, Audrey, and Erica, on the spot a little bit, but what's your, you have one tip about how to look at student success and some of the challenges that we all have faced with school public library partnerships. And what's one tip that you might have for someone if they're just like, I really want to do this, but I'm struggling so hard? One of you want to take that on to start? Does that make sense?
What do you mean by struggling?
So there's been several questions here about, well, there's a competitive feel, people don't have enough time, administration isn't always supportive. So like they're having a hard time just even getting in the door. Am I right? People nod yes or say or type yes. So that idea that, there's all these little barriers that aren't so little. And so one sort of like just to get started. Does that help?
Yeah. I think I have some ideas for it. I think that's why I've been most successful, because I will try to interject myself into whatever the school already has going on. And it's how can I help you? And also, and just advertising our services, summer reading, and then just having that face-to-face with the librarians and building that relationship is really helpful as well. But it's really overwhelming if you're just like, I have this makerspace, I have this ideas. Just don't overwhelm each other. Sincere collaboration. And what do you have to offer? What do they have to offer? And how can you, combine your resources? And I always find that, I don't know, that makes for some really great partnerships. And that's usually my aim and what I don't know, that's how it works for me. So
that's good. Go ahead.
I totally agree. I think that as well, if you're just kind of looking for a place to get started, the simplest thing I would suggest doing is what you already need to have. Like you have resources at the public library and you need to sign kids up for library cards. That's easy. You just go over and say, hi, I want to do a library card drive. When can I do it? And then they'll let you know. And then once you're there, you'll, undoubtedly start talking about different things that you're both are doing, and then say, well, hey, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to do that. And like I said, those extended hours for public librarians is a big thing. So like those community events that, that are going on that the school librarian may not be there, or, you may want to get in a space, like I said, the football games, the basketball games, those parent open house, those types of things where it's already open to the community. It's easy for you to kind of slip in as a community partner. As one of those things is that schools are always looking for community partners because they want to seem like they are part of the community and that they have open doors. They want to seem like they do. So for you to come out and say, hey, I'm willing to do this, and so that you can tell your district heads that you're involved with the community, then I think you've kind of done something for them at that point.
I guess, Linda, I just want very quickly, I would take be persistent. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's think of growth mindset, right? I haven't done it yet. And fail forward, just try different ways. I've been watching the chat, start small, I love some of the things. Finding a way to solve somebody else's problem and help them is always a good way to get in the door. So again, that's where that, like designing a kit with NGSS or aligned to standards so that teachers aren't scared or they get it. Whatever it is, find the hook of where you can support them and show that. I'm not a librarian, so I'm kind of coming from a different position, but that's what I always do with any kind of a partnership or where I'm trying to get a foot in the door.
Yeah, I definitely love that. And one of the things I think that's come up, I think it was Rachel who might have said this, is like, listen to what the need is. As when I've worked mostly in public libraries, a little bit in school. And when I was in public libraries, I would go in and say, here, we've got this for you. Where actually that just like, it's almost, who said it? Audrey, I think, said, don't overwhelm them. Instead of just, it's that whole idea of like, what do you need? And then here's how we can fill that need. I think that's a really good point. Any other related, there's a couple other questions that have come up, but other things that people want to either speak or are typing in that we want to make sure on this? Yeah, I think that's true about the travel to school locations. That's an important point, Brianna. While people are typing and thinking, Shanna, somebody asked And do you have anything that you're specifically doing related to, where is it? I'm reading it from Julia. Do you have any programs geared for the kids that are graduating and or maybe slow learners or have some learning disabilities?
I kind of hinted towards it, which was my launch pad, and that was for graduating seniors. And that is where we brought in those community members for, and what I did was I polled the students and asked them, what were the things that you wish you learned in high school but didn't? And a lot of them, most of them were talked about credit or budgeting. I threw in Planned Parenthood just because we are an abstinence-only state. So you're about to graduate. And if you don't have, here's the thing too, we're librarians, we provide information. If there is no one to tell you certain things and you don't know that you need to know it, then you just go out into the world with this kind of big blank space in your brain. So now in regards to like slow learners, we have a program, we have teachers who work with those students who to get them jobs before they graduate. They actually start working before they graduate. So I haven't partnered with her specifically on anything. Now there have been opportunities or sometimes where they've come to learn how to work in a library. So they'll come to the school library and do some work there. But I haven't heard any programs specifically to that student group. But that is something to think about and something to offer, because I do think they get left out, and that's on me that I haven't reached out to her and done much program development on that end.
Great, thank you, Shanna. And actually, Audrey, can you talk a little bit more about the teen job fair? And actually, Shanna, you did something similar as well. And maybe that, I see there's a question about that, and other people can type, but Audrey, that's when I said you only have 1 minute.
Oh, yeah.
So can you talk a little bit more about that, and maybe about the collaboration piece too?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, exactly. When you think, what do teens want? They want money, they want experience, they want citizenry, and you can hit all that. And you can also, you have your local who want to have that relationship with teens, and they also need that summer talent. So that's a great way to bring everyone in the community together, and we all are, we're all getting something of great value from this experience. I think teen job fairs, they take a lot of time because you have to find those vendors, find them, are they available, can they come out? Let's see, and also I say coordinate with your human resources department. You can do mock interviews. A lot what Shana talked about, how to just basic soft skills and how to present yourself, resume building workshops. But I don't know. It's a really fun process. It takes a lot of time, but it's definitely worth it. And I'll shoot my email address into the chat. So if anyone wants to hit me up for the details of that, I can totally provide that for you. Did you want me to touch on something else, Linda?
No, did that answer the question? Somebody had wanted to hear more about it, or Erica or Shanna, do you have anything else to add to that?
I haven't done a teen job fair, but Audrey's got me really excited about trying to get one going. I have done what is the soft skills workshops, and those you don't need anybody but you, and maybe you partner with your other librarian, your public librarian, to do that, because everybody here has done a resume. Everybody here has gone on interviews. You're talking about basic information, and you can provide that. You can be a resource. So we're talking about things on how to shake a hand, how to send an email, how to fill out your resume, what to bring to your interview, what to wear to your interview, topics to avoid while you're discussing yourself or your skills. Helping them dig through their past after school jobs and babysitting stuff to come up with stuff that's relevant to offer as skills. All of these things you can offer to your patrons to make sure that they're kind of ready to go out there and meet the world.
And Linda, this isn't my area, but one thing I've learned now, all of a sudden being in the midst of government, which is always a new thing, like Department of Commerce and Department of Labor have a wealth of information, and they're really, at least in our state, they are not only on our board, but they're pretty involved and have resources and are willing to come out for things like job fairs or to provide the resources for those. And of course, industry as well. And I was just going to make a comment, Shanna, when you were originally talking about kids and needing jobs and everything and certification. And don't forget, you know, you mentioned some great careers, but because I'm STEM, I have to throw this out. You know, like Oracle and Adobe and all of those, they're free trainings. The certifications cost, but a lot of times you can find small grants to cover those certification costs. They're not huge. So remember, there's a lot of different certifications available that provide phenomenal career opportunities for kids. And a lot of those, you know, again, they're online, and gosh, you can go to your public or school library for those.
That's great, Erica. I love it, and we're running out of time. But I have a question about one of the things being talked about in the chat, which is really interesting about the best time to have a job fair. I'm also thinking, and Brianna, you asked, like, especially when the school may have one too, is there a way to like do any of this? Like, I keep thinking about the continuum from in-school learning to out-of-school time learning. So like, how do we have a continuum where maybe some of it happens in the school and some of it happens in the public library, right? So if you're doing a job fair or doing some of this training, how do we help the kids go from one place to the other for the same kind of thing, just in a different environment, right? Does that make sense? I keep asking that.
I think so. You know, I've always thought about it the next time I do this, but there's, you know, career counselors at high schools. I'm definitely going to contact them. And I think that would be helpful. And then we could coordinate it together as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much what happened was when the schools found out that we were having the teen job fair, they advertised it. The Dallas Morning News advertised it. And, you know, it was just something we're all incredibly passionate about. But we could definitely plan it better next time.
That's great. Anything else? We have 2 minutes, so maybe how about one last comment from each of our speakers? And I don't want to, or food for thought or advice on helping everyone move forward in the world of school library partnerships.
I'll just throw out, don't be afraid to try something. Right?
Yeah.
It may not work. I've failed a few times, and just be the ever-ready bunny and just keep going. And like I said, I mean, it sounds kind of trite, but you have to be persistent. But just don't be afraid to try something instead of nothing.
I totally agree with Erica. I think there's always some overlap, some space. There's some little corner where you guys can help each other. It's just finding that. So like with anything, it's about like those relationships. So if you can just get some face time, not phone time, but it may even be just like you just show up, just, hi, I'm here to see the school librarian, and just shake a hand and say, you know, and bring some bookmarks. You know, you'd be surprised how far a stack of bookmarks will go.
Yeah, exactly. I love what you guys both said. Before I became a librarian, I had no idea that like pretty much 70% of my job is communicating with people and being out there and like selling myself. And because you don't associate librarians with having these interpersonal skills particularly, but you do, and you have to with the 21st century, you know, library of now. But make those connections, go out, introduce yourself, and yeah, don't stop. So
that's great. Well, thank you all. This has been really inspiring, and I really appreciate your time. Shanna, Audrey, and Erica, thank you so much. And I want to thank them also for being willing to be our Zoomers. I think that's been really appreciative. You guys were willing to try it out with me the first time around. Thank you for everybody who was here. I will send out the URL once I upload the video, and I will also send out the PowerPoint. And if you would like a certificate of attendance, just email me. I'll put that in the email as well, but just email me and I can send you a certificate. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Happy Thursday. Take care.
Thursday.